All right, so I thought I'd do a little quick video on programming, talk about kind of my viewpoint on working out and just kind of how to tolerate volume of getting the most out of your training when you're training for powerlifting, CrossFit, endurance sports, any particular, or maybe a fitness test. Like I had some clients that are in like military, they need to pass a certain test or get a really good score. So I'm really about specificity. It really comes down to kind of how you what your goals are. I mean, it really comes down to how specific. You have to be really specific. Like, as you know, with me, I'm really into powerlifting, or I should say more specific, deadlifting. I love deadlifting, and that's sort of kind of my thing. And I'm really about kind of finding out the right spots that are weak in my movement pattern and kind of trying to train those, and also play around with kind of the pattern of movement. And that's kind of all this really is. If you think about working out in fitness, whether it be weight loss, fat loss, gaining performance and lifting a weight, either overhead or against your chest, or on a deadlift, lifting it off the ground, or squatting on your back, it really is about the specificity of things. And when you are weak in a certain area, it's important that you are trying to train it in a way, not the muscle, because I mean, sometimes we get a little caught up. The muscle is important. Like if your a certain muscle's weak, you need to work on it. But the thing to understand is really not just about the muscle being weak. It's really more about the pattern being weak. Because a lot of the time, when people's knees cave in on the squat or they bend too far forward, it's not always to say that they're squatting, their low back is weak or their quads are not strong enough. It's just not enough. It's not enough because it's not specific enough, because it depends on the activity they're doing. Everything is very activity specific. Like in the case of powerlifting, to get the most out of your squat or the most out of your total, you have to squat, bench, and deadlift a certain way to get the most out of your total. So that way you get so ideally using a very specific technique. I listened to a seminar that someone shared with me, which was awesome about, I think it was Chad Wasely. I forgot who it was. I'm sorry. I apologize. But it's about sport practice, practicing your sport. And it's important that you practice the competition lifts when you're trying to obviously improve in powerlifting. But for the matter of other things, not necessarily have this, because this video is not just about powerlifting. It's about just being strong and being better at whatever it is you want to do. And kind of having a strategic approach and kind of explaining my viewpoint on it. And one of the main things to understand, or one of the things I view things as far as trying to get most out of gaining strength or endurance, is volume. Volume is probably the number one thing that you can, in my opinion, to get the most benefit from. People say intensity is more important, but in reality, obviously there's a little bit of there's an overlap. Like, obviously if the intensity is too low, you're going to be able to tolerate more volume, but you're not going to solicit enough training effect. If your intensity is too high, you're not going to do enough volume. So there's always a sweet spot, but one of the things that I heard from Dan Green in a seminar, and kind of something I've kind of come to realize in my own training, is that the amount of volume, the more volume you can tolerate, the better. Because then you're able to train harder and you're able to train more. Think about high-level professionals. I'm not even talking about powerlifting. I'm talking about like basketball, football, baseball, or even golf for that matter. How many times do they hit the ball? I was telling a client, he's new to weightlifting, lifting weights, but he's really good at golf. And I told him, like, you know what, a lot of this, the reason why you're not very good at bench and squat is because you haven't been doing it for very long, and I've been doing it for years. If you were to take me out there to play golf with you and we were going to driving range, I guarantee you after about 30, 40 balls, I'm going to be freaking smoked. And you can keep playing and you'll play well. I'll in fact play horribly, and I'll just be so inefficient in it. And a lot has to do with the skill of the movement, the skill of the pattern. And again, kind of going a little veering off, but I just want to kind of end this video with this last minute because I want to keep my video short. But it's really about the more volume you can tolerate, the more you can train. And the more you can train, the better you're going to get. So that's really the biggest thing. Like in CrossFit, it's very important to have lots of volume because there's a lot of movement patterns. So it's about movement or workout capacity. In powerlifting, it's really about how much weight you can lift. So the reason why you'll do volume is so you get more efficient at the pattern. Basically, working not as hard on the movement and having it down, and then having strength carry the weight, if that makes any sense. And where I'm going with this is that when should you cut back volume? As some of you know, like I was going to do a 5-day-a-week training program, but one of the reasons why I had to curtail volume was because of my joint discomfort. I'm having a little bit knee pain. Now the pain is relatively minor, and I'm just understand that I'm a very conservative lifter especially with powerlifting, but my knee's bothering me a little bit, and it's fairly mild. I mean, I have some aches and pains maybe on my right knee too, but my left knee is kind of bothersome, and I know that it's going to be a big limiter. And when I'm fresh, no problem. Give me like a week, 10 days, I'm going to be great. But when there's a little inkling of joint pain, like a ligament, because understand that ligament and tendons are avascular, don't get their own blood supply, and they take longer to heal. And when they get really beat up, it's not something necessarily you're going to always feel, because they're almost like thick cabling that feels a lot different than the muscle, because the muscle can almost tolerate almost any training load. As you've learned, if you've been training for any number of years, you just don't get sore no matter how heavy or hard you lift. Or if you do lift really heavy and hard, the soreness is relatively minor. You just feel general fatigue, but you don't get sore. The thing to understand is that when your joints, when I say joints, mainly ligaments and tendons, those things take a beating. And when you do a lot of eccentric loading, lowering the weight, it can play a big role in the amount of recovery you need. Your muscles can actually do all the work, and this is my experience. Your muscles can work really hard. They keep training. The problem is the ligaments and tendons, and it's knowing how to modulate intensity. And because if I wasn't so close to my meet, I would actually train a lot harder. I would probably kind of fight through this a little bit and work around it. But because I'm being a little bit cautious, I'm not going to try to push it. So I'm just taking a day off. And I'm probably just going to do upper body tomorrow and then lower body on Thursday. So anyways, that's kind of what my viewpoint on it is. The last thing I'll just kind of end with this video is that, it's really about getting the most work. If you want to get the best results, you do the most volume you can tolerate, while still being able to maintain good joint integrity or ligament and tendon integrity. Because a lot of the time, the tendons and ligaments take a beating because of poor movement. And that's going to happen when you lift heavy. It's a reality of how things work. But anyways, hope you like this video. If you like this video, click a thumbs up. If you like to hear more of these videos, please make a comment on below. I don't make a lot of these. I find that people just want to watch weightlifting and kind of progress while I do commentary. But anyways, thanks for watching, and take care.